Imagine not being able to experience and enjoy the innocence of childhood. Now imagine the prospect of life complicated by potential physical problems, accompanied by pain and expensive managed care. Unfortunately, it's a future that children affected with hemophilia, von Willebrand's disease, and other bleeding disorders must face every single day.
The interesting thing about hemophilia or von Willebrand's disease is that the only thing that is missing that causes the bleeding is a protein, one single protein that may be different in each disease, but it is a protein, and without this protein, the individual does not stop bleeding. I think the most serious misconception that the public has about people with hemophilia or a bleeding disorder is that they are going to bleed out immediately and medical assistance is not going to be able to be obtained fast enough. This is erroneous. They bleed no faster than you or I. They just bleed longer, and without the medical treatment that is necessary to replace the missing protein, they will continue to bleed.
The Hemophilia Foundation of Greater Florida has been helping people with bleeding disorders since 1996 by offering programs and services to support healthier and more independent lives. One very special program is our annual Family Retreat Camp Weekend.
Having a child go to camp is an absolutely wonderful experience for the child. It gives the child the opportunity to do things that they normally couldn't do in their everyday life. And as soon as the child comes home from camp, I receive a phone call from the parents just saying it was just a life-changing experience, and they're very grateful for the opportunity. The children tug at my heart because they're our heroes. They wake up every day with this bleeding disorder. It could be hemophilia, von Willebrand's disease, platelet disorders. They do what they need to do to have a good quality of life.
Joey was a premature baby. He was born at 28 weeks, and sometime between then and the age of 2.5, 3, he had a brain bleed, and every single time he hits his head, he tends to bleed into it.
So I have von Willebrand's, it's the bleeding disorder, and my mom and my little brothers have it. And when people look at me, they don't really see, like they can't see it, so they think it's nothing wrong, but I have to take factor, and it's harder than what a lot of people have to do.
As a hemophiliac, I find that, and have found as a child, that you really have to be conscientious of almost every step you take, every activity you involve yourself in, because every one of them could lead to a bleeding condition.
A non-contact sport, golf offers children and adults with bleeding disorders the opportunity to experience both physical activity and friendly competition.
I'm a hemophilia patient myself, and we're here at this golf tournament helping young children learn more about the sport of golf, and I love being involved with the hemophilia community. It's a great way to learn more about it.
The cost of having a bleeding disorder is prohibitive. The medication that is used for these individuals is extremely expensive. It is by prescription only. It is a medication that is administered very often intravenously, which means it is given into the vein. It is also a medication that can be given orally in certain situations or intranasally, but those are still prohibitive in terms of the cost. Insurance companies usually will cover this, but it is not unusual to have a child cap out of their insurance.
The cost for the medication averages about $100,000 a year, at a minimum $100,000 a year. That's with no big incidents. I have Medicaid now, which I'm only allowed to have so many assets because of the Medicaid.
One of the most difficult parts of having a bleeding disorder is the damage that it does to the body. Primarily we see in hemophilia the destruction of the joints, the degeneration of the joints from repetitive bleeding into the joints and into the muscle tissue. Usually this effect is affected in the weight-bearing joints such as the hips, knees, or the ankles.
I'm 73 years old, and was born with hemophilia. Well, I've had a knee replacement on my left leg, and the same leg I had a hip replacement. This bleed is a result of just someone touching me, and it's spontaneous bleed, and it happened a week and a half ago. I took factor, not right away because we couldn't get hold of a nurse, but I took it for 6 days. I bled for about 24 hours before I had factor, and then I took it for 6 days, and it's well on the way to mending now.
From first year, actually, from my first birthday was my first bleeding in my knee. It resulted in having 2 knee replacements, ankle fusion, Achilles tendon stretching, disability, and everything else is caused by hemophilia.
I'm only 43, and I've had 8 ankle surgeries, 2 elbow surgeries, nasal surgery. I've got too many to mention.
Basically, I can't work. Well, one is because of my disability. The other one is because of the insurance issues. Not a lot of people want to take you as a hemophiliac. You have to go through 1 year period, and I can't live without medication for 1 year. There's no way.
The infusions I find to be a chore, because when I don't infuse, I feel excellent. But when I got to stick get the factor out, I feel like I'm abnormal. It's tedious, because mixing all the bottles, getting the factor, and finding a vein, not hitting the vein, having to stick yourself 4 or 5 times. It's very hard.
The pain for hemophilia is very hard to define. When doctors ask you from 1 to 10, for you it's probably 10. For me it's 5, because I lived with it all my life, and there's no telling of how much pain I can stand.
The people with bleeding disorders have an unbelievable tolerance to pain. They have to. And the pain is excruciating, and they have to live with it every day. And they learn how to modify their lifestyle to be able to live with the pain.
It's very difficult to obtain dental care for individuals with hemophilia. It's not unusual to see people having to get full mouth extractions because over the years, the individuals have never been able to obtain dental care because there is a fear in the dental community of working on these individuals.
Keeping up with education is of prime importance, and the Hemophilia Foundation of Greater Florida continually offers programs, seminars, and workshops throughout the state.
The Hemophilia Foundation of Florida has been a blessing to our family. And as soon as we moved up here, there was just like doors opening for us. We found out about camp. There was all these things offered to us. They help you with all of this, with finding the blood product, with learning how to infuse, calling you to make sure you're okay, medical alert, gosh, what else? Everything.
Anytime I need to know anything, I need help with what I should do, I call Fran. I got Fran on speed dial.
Just the information and the programs available. It is a very scary thing finding out your child has a bleeding disorder, and the information they have available in the programs, so you know where to turn to and where to get help from.
The Hemophilia Foundation of Greater Florida, dedicated to improving the quality of life for people with related bleeding disorders and their families through education, information and referral services, advocacy, and research.